Let me paint a picture that might feel a little too familiar. It's 2 in the morning. The house is completely quiet. You were finally in a deep, comfortable sleep, and then that feeling arrived. That familiar pressure, that nudge from your bladder that won't be ignored. So you get up, carefully, trying not to wake anyone. You shuffle down the hallway in the dark, do what you need to do, and trudge back to bed, only to lie there for 20 minutes, unable to fall back asleep. And somewhere in that quiet darkness, a thought creeps in. Is this just my life now? If that scene feels personal, I want you to know something important. You are not alone in this. And more importantly, you are not stuck. Most men over 50 who deal with urinary urgency, weak flow, or those relentless nighttime trips have quietly accepted it as the unavoidable cost of getting older. They don't talk about it. They just adapt. They start mentally mapping bathrooms before road trips. They leave events early. They sleep lighter than they used to. And they carry a low-level frustration that quietly chips away at confidence and quality of life. But here's what I've learned in 7 years of working with men on exactly this issue. For the majority of men, the real problem isn't what they think it is. And the solution is simpler than anyone has told them. Today, I'm going to share a technique that takes about 60 seconds, something you can do every single time you use the bathroom that can meaningfully improve urine flow, reduce urgency, and calm those nighttime interruptions. No medication, no surgery, no complicated protocol. Just a small, intelligent shift in how you approach something you do every day. My name is Dr. Nora Hayes, and I've spent 7 years studying urinary health, pelvic function, and the practical tools that help men over 50 reclaim comfort and control. Before we go further, hit the like button so this reaches more men who need it. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from today, and subscribe if you want honest, practical men's health guidance every week. Now let's get into something that most doctors never take the time to explain. Here's the belief that almost every man over 50 carries into my office. My prostate is enlarged, so my urinary symptoms are just going to keep getting worse. That's the deal. And I understand why that belief feels logical. The prostate surrounds the urethra, the tube that carries urine out of the body. When the prostate enlarges, it naturally creates some resistance to flow. That part is true. But here's what that explanation leaves out, and this is the part that changes everything. 2 men with virtually identical prostate sizes on an ultrasound can have completely different daily experiences. One functions reasonably well, sleeps through most nights, and manages comfortably. The other is up 3 or 4 times a night, dealing with urgency and incomplete emptying, and feels like his bladder is running his life. Same anatomy, very different reality. Why? Because urinary symptoms are not dictated by anatomy alone. They are heavily influenced by pelvic floor, muscle tension, nervous system signaling, breathing patterns, local inflammation, hydration. And this one surprises most men the way you actually behave at the toilet. Most men unknowingly brace their abdomen, hold their breath, tighten their pelvic floor muscles, and actively strain when they urinate. They think they're helping. They're not. They're creating resistance in the very system they're trying to open, and then there's the mental layer that compounds everything. The constant low-grade anxiety about bathroom access during meetings, drives, social events keeps the nervous system on a quiet state of alert. A tense nervous system keeps the pelvic floor tight. A tight pelvic floor restricts flow. Restricted flow triggers more urgency. More urgency creates more anxiety. Round and round it goes. The missing ingredient in this cycle is something most men never think to apply: deliberate, conscious relaxation. Let me show you exactly what that looks like. Before I walk you through the technique, I want you to understand the mechanics of what's going wrong, because once you see it clearly, the solution makes complete sense. The prostate sits at the base of the bladder, wrapping around the urethra. Any congestion, inflammation, or muscular tension in the surrounding pelvic region increases resistance at that junction. The bladder detects that resistance and responds by signaling urgency. It's trying to overcome the blockage by alerting you more insistently and more frequently. When you respond to that urgency by straining and pushing, you increase abdominal pressure, which actually tightens the pelvic outlet rather than opening it. The bladder empties partially. Residual urine sits in the bladder. That residual urine becomes the trigger for the next wave of urgency, often arriving far too soon, including in the middle of the night. So the cycle has 2 components driving it: incomplete emptying and chronic pelvic tension. Address both of those, and the system begins to settle. That's exactly what the technique I'm about to share is designed to do. The technique, the long exhale release with double empty. This takes roughly 60 seconds longer than your usual bathroom visit. And what it does inside your body in that 60 seconds is genuinely worth understanding. Here's how to do it. When you sit or stand to urinate, instead of immediately straining or waiting tensely for the flow to begin, take a slow, gentle breath in through your nose for about 4 seconds. Not a deep, dramatic breath, just a calm, quiet inhale that allows your lower rib cage to expand slightly. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 to 8 seconds. Long and gentle, like you're softly fogging a cold window. As you exhale, consciously soften your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Let your belly go completely loose. And here's the key part, the part most men have never tried. As that long exhale continues, imagine the base of your pelvis gently descending. Not pushing down, releasing downward. Like an elevator dropping one floor very slowly and calmly, you are not forcing anything. You are removing the tension that was blocking the system. When the stream begins, keep that same relaxed posture. Face soft, shoulders loose, no straining, no hurrying. Let the bladder do its job rather than trying to help it by force. Now here's the second part, the double empty, and this is what makes the real difference for nighttime trips. When the stream stops, don't leave. Stay exactly where you are. Count slowly to 10. Take one more long, slow exhale and repeat that gentle downward release with your pelvis. Wait. For a significant number of men, a second stream appears, sometimes smaller, sometimes substantial. That is residual urine that the initial strain and tension were preventing from releasing. When you remove that residual urine consistently, the urgency signals that were waking you up at 2 in the morning begin to diminish. The bladder is genuinely empty. It needs less time to refill to a level that triggers urgency. The whole routine adds about 60 seconds to each bathroom visit. The downstream effect on your nights and your days can be significant. Let me give you a realistic picture of what to expect, because this isn't an overnight transformation, it's a progressive improvement. In the first week, most men notice that urination initiates more smoothly. Less hesitation, less straining at the start. Flow feels more natural.